England and Scotland have played each other 116 times. In this series, we start with the first game and look at each game, one by one, year by year. We'll look at, amongst other things, the players, the venues, the history, football changes, and the quirky stories. I'm Steve. Join me on this journey to discover what makes England v Scotland the greatest international derby. Hi and welcome back. So, what was happening in the world in 1881? October the 26th saw the gunfight at the OK Corral in Tombstone, Arizona. A daily reenactment continues to draw many tourists, and interestingly, the long-living Wyatt Earp, who would live to 80, would be an advisor in early Hollywood films, and here he would meet and advise a young John Wayne. The Tories' watch shop would open this year in Tokyo, and it would go on to become Seiko. Born this year is Anna Pavlova, the famous Russian ballerina, and the inspiration for the dessert, which both Australia and New Zealand claim they invented. August saw the birth of Sir Alexander Fleming, who first discovered penicillin. In February saw the death of the Russian writer Dostoevsky. On July the 2nd, the 20th US President James A. Garfield is shot by lawyer Charles J. Guter in Washington, D.C. The wound became infected and would eventually kill Garfield in September the 19th. And another famous death, on the 14th of July, as Billy the Kid is shot and killed by Pat Garrett outside Fort Sumner in New Mexico. Alcock's Football Annual was published between 1868 and 1908, and it was edited by the creator of the FA Cup and the England captain of the 1875 game, Charles W. Alcock. It reported on the various codes of football played in England, and also provided coverage of the other home nations, supplemented on occasion by reports from around the world. A typical issue would include laws of the various codes, a summary of the preceding season, a listing of football clubs in England, including such details as each club's ground, secretary, and colours, and articles about aspects of the game. This is the year shin guards would be requirements under FA rules. They had been in sporadic use as early as 1874, with Nottingham Forest player Sam Weller Whittlestone pragmatically cutting down some cricket pads. And this requirement suited one man, and it was Notts County co-founder Richard Daft, who fortunately owned a sports equipment store in Nottingham. And not so daft placed in the national newspaper ads for his catalogue service featuring custom-made shin guards, and he also advertised, amongst other things, footballs and jerseys. 1881 would see the formation of many football teams, but let's just touch on two. Berwick Rangers, the only English team to play in the Scottish leagues, the border town Berwick having been fought over and changed nationalities multiple times over the years. The other was Stanley FC, derived from the local cricket club in the biker area of Newcastle, who quickly changed their name due to a similar team in nearby Gateshead. They changed it to Newcastle East End FC in 1882, and then, when their rivals and the leaseholders of St James's Park, Newcastle West End FC, entered into financial problems, they merged and became Newcastle United in 1892. The FA Cup this year would see a new winner, with the Old Carthusians beating the Old Etonians 3-0 on the 9th of April. Old Carthusians were old boys of the Charterhouse School in Godalming in Surrey, and this would be their only win. On the same day, in the Scottish Cup, saw Queen's Park beating Dumbarton 3-1 in a replay. This is a match that saw Dr. John Smith scoring his hat-trick. But it's back to London and the Kennington Oval. After 2-5-4 wins, what would this year bring? Goals was a suggestion. After all, barring the first game, a 0-0 draw, the fans of the next 8 games, so far, had witnessed 46 goals in total. And they weren't going to lack for goals in this match either. This game would also see the first black footballer playing international football. This would be Andrew Watson of Scotland. He was born in British Guiana in 1856, the son of a Scottish sugar plantation owner and a Guyanan woman. He then studied at the University of Glasgow. Watson was a full-back and played most of his football for Queen's Park, although he did have spells with London Swifts and Corinthians whilst living in England. Today's match is the first of 3 caps he gained for Scotland. He became a successful businessman, eventually dying in Richmond in 1921, aged 64. He features on the mural on the side of the site of First Hampden, which is now a bowling club. Let me just take this chance to say thanks to EnglandFootballOnline.com, a wonderful website for all you England fans, and a wonderful site for me for my stats. And so, on Saturday the 12th of March 1881, at the Kennington Oval, in front of a crowd somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000, England were to take on their by now familiar rivals. Refereeing was Major Francis Arthur Marradin, and umpires Ernest Henry Bainbridge, who played for England in 1876, and Captain Donald Hamilton. England played a 2-2-6, and they played with white shirts, white shorts, and dark blue caps. They lined up as follows: John P. Hawtrey, goalkeeper, Remnants FC and Old Etonians FC. I had to look up Remnants FC as I'd never heard of them. They were founded in 1877 and they were made up of masters from St Mark's School in Windsor, and they played in Slough. The team only lasted 5 years and would be dissolved in 1882. Claude W. Wilson, right back, Oxford University AFC and Old Bretonians FC. Edgar Field, left back, Clapham Rovers FC. John Hunter, half back, Healy FC. Norman C. Bailey, half back, Clapham Rovers FC. George H. Holden, outside right, Wednesdayborough, Old Athletic FC. Thurston Rostron, inside right, Darwin FC. Reginald H. Macaulay, centre forward, Cambridge University AFC and Old Etonians FC. Clement Mitchell, centre forward, Upton Park FC. E. Charles Bainbridge, inside left, Swifts FC. John Hargreaves, outside left, Blackburn Rovers FC. Scotland also lined up in a 2-2-6, but it was their choice of top that was slightly unusual. They wore rose and primrose shirts. See the pictures? They lined up as follows: George Gillespie, goalkeeper, Rangers FC. Andrew Watson, back, Queen's Park FC. Thomas Valance, back, Rangers FC. Charles Campbell, halfback, Queen's Park FC. David Davidson, halfback, Queen's Park FC. David Hill, forward, Rangers FC. William Maguire, Beath FC. George Kerr, forward, Queen's Park FC. Joseph Lindsay, forward, Dumbarton FC. Henry McNeil, forward, Queen's Park FC. And Dr. John Smith, forward, Edinburgh University FC. Beath FC were a football team in Beath, Ayrshire, Scotland, and they were founded in 1875 and dissolved in 1938, and the town of Beath is about 20 miles southwest of Glasgow. Today's match report comes from the Times, Monday the 14th of March, 1881. The association game of football has long enjoyed great popularity in Scotland, and there is such a wide field for selection, and in the international matches they are able to produce very strong teams. Out of the 9 games against England prior to Saturday last, they scored 5 victories to their opponents' 2, the remaining 2 having been left drawn. The ground at the Oval on Saturday was in excellent condition, and the attendance one of the largest ever to be seen. Unfortunately, a rather heavy mist hung above the ground. Bailey, successful in the toss for England, drew up his followers in front of the Western Fortress, and Kerr set the ball rolling at 3:15 o'clock. A combined rush was again made by the Scotch forwards, and after 1 or 2 ineffectual attempts at goal, McNeil got possession of the ball, passed it well to Maguire. That player ran a little way and centred it to Smith, who kicked the first goal for Scotland. Capital passing was once more shown by the Scottish forwards, and Lindsay shot the ball straight at Hawtrey's hands. The latter struck it away, but Hill returned the charge and secured a second goal for Scotland. Hargreaves, Mitchell and Wilson were well to the fore on the behalf of England, and at length Bainbridge sent the ball under the bar. Twice Wilson managed to avert the attack, but Smith returned and set the ball through for a third time for Scotland, 3-1. Maguire conducted the ball down the ground, middled it to Kerr, and that player kicked it underneath the crossbar, the goalkeeper slipping in his attempts to stop it. The corner kick was made by Campbell, who sent the ball right in front of the posts, between which it was headed by Smith. 5-1. Towards the close of the match, the Scotch carried all before them, and after several unsuccessful efforts, Kerr secured another goal for the Northerners. Time was called, and Scotland thus won by 6-1. In the 10 matches now played, the Scotch have kicked 34 goals, and the English 20. And the Sheffield Independent reported, in the evening the victorious 11 dined with the committee of the Football Association at the Freemasons Tavern. England would have to wait a year to get revenge, and it was a return back up to Hampden. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please like, subscribe, and send a link to your friends. Till next time, bye bye.